That's it. Trump had to be the one to announce this. That's as close to an official confirmation as you're going to get. 2 minutes ago. He's dead. Charlie Kirk is killed. All we know is he's in critical condition at the moment right now. That's the last piece of verifiable evidence that's come out. I know that Charlie Kirk's own news broadcaster, conservative online channel Real America's Voice, is saying that he's dead, but I'm not going to rush to that conclusion. But here's BBC's additional breaking news. Reporting person in custody has been released, according to CBS News' reports. University spokesman says that the person who was taken into custody after the shooting has since been released, which means that they did, it seems like they don't have the actual shooter. So does that imply that the actual shooter is at large? What does that mean? There's a chance to save an individual, but so many factors at play medically in terms of GSW triage. I know the New York Post White House reporter asked Trump about it, and he spoke about him in the past tense. Not good. He was a very, very good friend of mine, and he was a tremendous person. That's what he said. How do they have so much security, but they can't find the shooter? I don't know. Because, I mean, if someone is capable of shooting from a distance like that, and they hadn't accounted for any sort of counter snipers or anything like that, which of course there's no expectation that they should. Why should they? This is not the president. And even the president with sniper cover still almost got killed. I think we're forgetting, when he was campaigning, he almost got killed. Spectator Index says he's pronounced dead, but we don't know yet. The way his body position was after shots, he went decorticate, which means his spine may have been transected by the bullet, which means instant death. You are not wrong. This would be hard to survive. We don't know yet. He might have looked like that because he was grabbing the microphone. You don't know. There's a lot of different things you can't tell from just looking at that footage. Okay, we have to wait. I'm telling you, it does make sense. I mean, look, the assumption is that he is dead. The assumption is that he passed away. That's a reasonable conclusion to make if you saw the close-up shot of him being shot in the neck. But we don't have any certainty on the distance of the shooter. We don't know what weapon was used in the shooting. We don't know who the shooter is. The person that they suspected of being the shooter, the old man, was apprehended and then released, and the officials have said that he's not the suspect. AP is reporting that there is a new suspect. Justin, person taken into custody after Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah is not believed to be the shooting suspect. Wait, is there a new suspect that was taken in? Where did you see that? 2 minutes ago, it says person taken into custody after Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah is not believed to be the shooting suspect. You misunderstood. No new suspect. CNN is also reporting that he was not the shooter. Yeah. Yes, his Wikipedia page is updated to say he died, but that doesn't mean that that's a confirmation, chatters. I can't believe the incompetence of everyone involved here as well. Oh, Jesus. The audio is busted. I mean, I assume that it's virtually impossible for him to survive that.
That's the word that's around. And some people may be afraid. I don't think that most people are like hunkering down or fearing for their life. But when the cops, when the police say, could you stay in your homes and keep your doors locked, then you just probably do that more to stay out of their way. But yeah, I'm very, very curious. I mean, you probably have a way better information source. I really feel like I'm a little bit isolated here. Lots of phone calls and lots of communication going on, but all of it, so much hearsay.
No, of course, and we're of course reporting out with the official authorities, but as you were someone who was there, who was with Charlie Kirk today. Phil, before I let you go, I know it's been I'm sure, incredibly difficult day for you. What are your reflections? What were the things that Charlie Kirk said to you before this tragedy unfolded?
So again, talking to Charlie for the the 15 seconds that we talked, he remembered having met me before, and I told him who I was, and he's like, "Oh, of course," and I said, "Glad to have you here in Utah," and he just said, "Yeah, it's a great day. It's great day to be in Utah," and again, then all the kids are. That's where his attention was. It's not on old guys like me. He was there to really pump up the college kids, and he was doing that. It's fun to watch him. Yeah, like I say, he's taller and better looking than every time I see him. It's like he's really tall, and yeah, very, very friendly, very nice.
All right, Phil Lyman, a former Utah state representative, who of course was with Charlie Kirk today. I want to thank you very much for taking some time with us. I really appreciate it.
I think
I want to bring in now
right.
our Jeff Zeleny.
Yeah, Edinger Mentum says this is the one case where far right new media outlets are going to have the info quicker than the mainstream news, and they're all saying that he's dead. I'm not. I know that they're all saying that he's dead. Trump is speaking about Charlie Kirk in the past tense. I'm not going to give you an official confirmation until there is an official confirmation. That's it. Okay? It's just there is very, very, very low likelihood that he survives something like that. Especially, look, I'm not a medical expert at all, but I just saw the amount of blood I saw gushing out of his neck on the moment of impact. It makes me feel. It makes me feel as though it's it's super unlikely. I mean, that was a shit ton of blood in literally less than a second. We know that he's in the hospital so far, and the official reporting from the hospital is that he's in critical condition, which is of course expected. The scourge of gun violence and political violence must end. The shooting of Charlie Kirk is the latest incident of this chaos, and it must stop. We cannot go down this road. There's no place for it in America. We wish for his recovery. A doctor pronounces someone dead, not the news. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. But the news will report once the doctor has pronounced someone dead. Do you not understand? That's why I'm saying I'm waiting for official confirmation.
Unlike any other. And I attended many of his rallies during the campaign, and he attracted...
you're quoting Newsroom. Oh, my God. Gross. Aaron Sorkin? Really?
Again, 31 years old. Casey, I can tell you the president, the White House, watching this very, very carefully. I've been talking to a Turning Point USA official who was on the ground in Utah. They are considerably worried about this moment, all in shock, of course, and in disbelief. But President Trump is a friend of Charlie Kirk. So at some point we will obviously hear from him as well as the afternoon moves into the evening. But there is no one like Charlie Kirk in terms of his assistance getting President Trump reelected. And that was clear. I'm thinking back to Inauguration Day. Charlie Kirk was seated in the Capitol Rotunda. He was a key part of the president's reelection effort and a very good friend of Donald Trump Jr.'s.
Why was Luigi's shooting celebrated, but this is tragic? Couple different reasons. I think there are a lot of people who have some semblance of like parasocial connection to Charlie Kirk, which is as weird as it sounds. It's a public event. It is at a school, and Charlie Kirk is not seen as someone who is like responsible for the social murder of tens of thousands of Americans. You know what I mean? So those are probably some of the reasons why. And for the record, there are a shit ton of people celebrating this as well. I'm not, for obvious reasons. I think people here have the capacity to understand why. You know, it's just like, I'm going to keep repeating this over and over again, but like, this is the ultimate fear. Okay? For a political commentator, this is it. This is the thing that you don't want happening. Okay? This is the thing that you never want happening. This is what a lot of people fantasize happening to me all the time and say they will do to me all the time. Obviously, especially because it's Charlie Kirk, someone who who I know personally. I'm not, fond of his worldview, obviously, but someone who I have debated in public settings on numerous occasions since 2015, and also someone who I was slated to debate at Dartmouth University 2 weeks from now. Do you understand? New York Post confirmed the death. I mean, whoa. Christ, they're hosting a press conference. When is this starting? Anyway, Trump announced his death. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. That's it. Trump had to be the one to announce this. That's as close to an official confirmation as you're going to get. He's dead. Charlie Kirk is killed. Wow. This is insane. It's so crazy. 2 minutes ago. This is from Trump's official Truth Social, by the way. This is crazy. I don't know if Trump is the best source. No, he is the best source. What are you talking about? Dude, as insane as as crazy as the things are, it would be Trump that announces that he's dead. That is the most Trump administration thing that could have possibly happened. First, the information is revealed to close friends. It leaks out to close friends and family, and immediately starts getting reported on by One America News and stuff like that. But then the official confirmation must come from Trump.
And my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife Erica and family.
CNN
Charlie,
is now reporting that
love you.
Trump has
President
announced that Charlie
Trump
Kirk is dead.
Telling us at this hour that Charlie Kirk has died. Kirk was shot at a event at Utah Valley University earlier today, shortly after noon, according to the university. There was a single shot that rang out. He was shot in the neck, and now the President of the United States, someone that Charlie Kirk was close to, is reporting that he has died. I want to bring in Kristen Holmes. She is live for us at the White House. Again, Kristen, we're of course mourning Charlie Kirk. This is a man who, he was 31 years old. He had two very small children, 3 and 1 ages, I believe. He is someone who was very close to the President of the United States, close to the Trump family, someone who played a critical role if you talk to people around the president, in the president winning his second term. What are you hearing from those close to us? We, of course, read the statement that just came through from President Trump.
It's a very somber mood here. People are very upset. It's not just at the White House, it's really among Republicans as a whole. The Republican Party has become the party of Trump, the MAGA movement, and Charlie Kirk was really at the heart of all of that.
Kirk's spokesman says Kirk is dead.
With a huge portion of Trump's win in 2024. He was on the ground. He created an entire system to get young voters out and excited and enthusiastic about Trump. And it's not just as though he was some kind of outside influencer. He was very close to the president himself. I know specific examples of times that the two of them went back and forth over various issues. When Charlie thought something was important to the MAGA base, he brought it to the president's attention. There are some people who believe that Charlie had his finger on the pulse of Trump's base more than even some of his own cabinet officials. He had a huge following and, again, was so close to the family, to President Trump himself. And one of the things, I continue to bring up is the fact that there was a lot of conversation during the transition as to potentially making Charlie Kirk part of the administration. But the ultimate decision was that he was more influential, had more power outside of being in a government position. He had been in Washington a number of times. He had been here with his family. He went to swearing-ins of numerous officials.
Bro, how the fuck do they not have the shooter? I can't comprehend this, okay? One of the most televised events, okay? This is an incident on a college campus. Everyone's got a smartphone. Everyone, I guess the shooter shot from a distance, but god damn, dude, that is crazy. That is crazy. He's over. Oh, I don't like what is going to happen in the aftermath of this.
Actually going to also make a statement other than this Truth Social post. I know that they are in touch still with everyone close to Charlie's family, with his team at Turning Point, with the team around him, just trying to make sense of what happened. But I will tell you, I talked to, again, a number of officials within the administration who are close to President Trump who just can't wrap their head around what happened earlier today.
Yeah, I already...
Of course.
I know.
Of
The
course
New York
they
Times
can't.
reported
Kristen Holmes,
saying...
stand by for us as we continue to cover this story. I want to bring back our Scott Jennings. Scott,
the New York
first of all,
Times
I'm sorry,
posted what I said after he got shot.
This is
I know.
Somebody that you knew. What are your reflections on his life, his legacy in this moment?
Well, Charlie was one of the most unique and special people in the conservative movement today. What he was able to build, the people he was able to organize, was just so large. And
of course, they're AP is going live in DC in response to the death. Yeah, I think that right now, AP is now reporting that the shooter is in custody. Location of the shooting. No, person taken into custody after Charlie Kirk is not believed to be the... No, dude. Why do people not understand how to read? What is happening? No, the only reporting from the Associated Press is that the person that was taken into custody was not the shooter. I don't get it. I don't get why people keep linking it. Maybe I'm just not refreshing the page or something, but for the past 11 minutes, people keep repeatedly sending the same update over and over again and not understanding what the update is. The update doesn't say that they caught the shooter. The update says that the person that they apprehended was not the shooter. So as far as we understand, the shooter is still at large. Does this make you rethink debating in public ever? I mean, I need to really reconsider the way I do everything outside for the foreseeable future. Dude, it's crazy. I got dudes literally stuck in Gaza DMing me about Charlie Kirk. That is crazy. That's how impactful and big of a news story this is. 1:36 p.m. Fox 13 Salt Lake City has spoken with an official from the university who said the school has surveillance video of the shooter leaving campus. That's crazy, man. I can't believe
what he was doing was
Scott
the opposite
Jennings.
of what
Shut
happened.
the up, dude. Oh my God, I hate Scott
violent.
Jennings so much.
But he was using his words and his speech, which is our first protected freedom in this country. And so we're going to miss Charlie, and we pray for his wife and those babies. He leaves behind a young family. People like this who exist in the public sphere, we know them as public actors, and we see them in front of crowds, and we see them on TV and we hear them on the radio. But they go home at night too, and they open a front door, and they hug a wife, and they hug children, and they put them down, and they oversee the toothbrushing and everything just like the rest of us. And so there's that side of them that we don't often think about, but Charlie was doing that too. So I just think in moments like this, it's easy to analyze the politics, but you know, there was Charlie the husband and Charlie the father, and he'll be missed forever.
Bro,
Since we've just learned of this, I think it's absolutely
the
appropriate.
craziest
We're talking
aspect
about
of this,
Charlie
of course,
Kirk,
is that
the
like
man.
people try to say like, oh, this ultra violence is coming from the left. Ultra violence coming from the left. If it's actually a 200-yard shot,
we can
that
go
you
on
know narrows the window
this
of possible
way.
shooters quite a bit.
doesn't
Okay.
get uglier.
Because like the reality of the matter is a real-time 200-yard shot.
Well, I don't
you know,
know.
there are people, of course, plenty of people capable of doing that. They're just they've served in the military.
We had a lot of these
Okay.
conversations after Trump was nearly assassinated.
It's just not
We had a
that
presidential election.
you know
People voted.
that narrows the background of the
America. We've always
background of the shooter quite a bit.
persevered through even dark moments like this one. You know, I think there are a lot of people, though, who have given up on politics and have turned their hearts to violence. And one of the legacies of Charlie, in my opinion, is that politics is good.
AP has a
Politics is
graphic
speaking
of
to
the
each other.
shooter.
Politics is
University stated the shooter fired from
conservatives
the
and liberals
Lucy
and
Center.
Republicans and Democrats
Kirk was speaking
debating
here
and
about
reasoning
200
with each
yards.
other.
It
Maybe we
literally
don't
is a
agree.
200-yard shot.
But when you walk
That's what it's supposed
into
to
a
be.
conversation and you debate,
Oh my God! Shut the f up, Scott Jennings. God, I can't stand this. Okay. I spoke briefly with President Trump over the phone. Here's what he said about Charlie Kirk. It's horrific. It's one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. He was a great guy, he said. He was an incredible guy. Nobody liked him. Dude, that is a crazy shot. We don't know. We don't know exactly. I mean, this is the suspicion, I guess. That's what the New York Times reported as well, 200 yards. But it's a crazy distance for a shot like that. Authorities, just in from AP. Authorities are still searching for the suspect in the shooting death of Charlie Kirk, mayor says. That is nuts. ABC special report. No Scott.
Young people into the fold.
Yeah, absolutely, David. The president himself did give
Bro,
Kirk
they're
a lot of credit along the way, of course, leading up to his win in November on the campaign trail. In fact, he gave Kirk a lot of credit, if not most of the credit, for a lot of that younger vote and for mobilizing a lot of those voters to go out and vote for him. I know the multiple times I've been over at the White House, I've witnessed Charlie Kirk there in the West Wing talking to advisors, of course, not a formal advisor. He was responsible, David, for helping with a lot of the vetting of the top cabinet officials and had a lot of input. He was one of those people right next to Trump in a lot of these meetings in his ear, and Trump was taking his advice. It wasn't just the White House, it was across government agencies, the Department of Justice. I know Kirk was very close with the Attorney General, with the Deputy Attorney General, so he did have quite an influence within the administration, even though he wasn't so outwardly seen, if you will, at these agencies.
Catherine Falder's with us from our Washington Bureau. Catherine, we appreciate you and the team and the reporting here this afternoon on a very difficult story. Again, Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, was shot and killed in Utah at a campus event, to the horror of the thousands who had gathered there. He was in the middle of what has become a trademark for him at these visits, in the middle of a debate, of sort of back and forth questions being asked of him. I want to show you there was a moment of silence on the House floor in Washington for Charlie Kirk just moments ago. Bipartisan calls to calm this down, to bring the rhetoric down in this country. Again, there was a moment of silence that came.
Dude, by the way, right-wingers saying, oh, we got to tone down the rhetoric, once again, is an insane statement here, okay? It's like people who perhaps are most responsible for setting up an environment where violence and instability is the norm for everyday Americans, okay? People who have set up an environment where there is just no solution to unlimited gun violence every single day, where parents send their children to school and there's no guarantee of their safety, And some experience exactly what the Republicans, the fear and anger that the Republicans are currently experiencing because they knew Charlie Kirk. Regular people experience that, unfortunately, all too frequently. Okay. Meanwhile, while they're talking about toning down the rhetoric of violence, Elon Musk, the owner of this website, took no time, like didn't even wait for the confirmation of Charlie Kirk's death to immediately go, the left is the party of murder. 2 months ago, a psychopathic right-winger, a far-right evangelical Christian, had a hit list of numerous Democrat politicians. He went into the homes of Democrat politicians in the state of Minnesota, and he shot and killed 2, and he tried to kill more. Okay? And these guys immediately said, oh, he was a leftist. He was actually Tim Walz's guy. He was Tim Walz's top guy. Made no sense. Tim Walz was literally a part of the assassination hit list. And people still ran along with that narrative. There's no confirmation of the shooter's ideological background or whatever. None of that. But it doesn't stop these demons from immediately saying, oh, it's the left that's doing this. It's the left that's doing this. It must be a leftist that did this. So spare me the bullshit about toning down the rhetoric when this is the common meta. It's so ridiculous, man. Yeah, there was just a story about an American-Israeli sniper admitting to killing multiple civilians in Gaza and no one cared. Yeah, dude from Naperville, Illinois, flew out, had his family fundraise so he could get weapons to kill children that he openly said he did in Gaza. Doesn't even reach a blip. That kind of violence, by the way, does inevitably come back here, okay? That's my point. My point is, America is an incredibly violent nation all around the world. We are so violent. We're a constant presence, a constant force everywhere. That has a tendency to normalize these kinds of incidents here as well. Video posted on social media shows the moment Charlie Kirk was shot and the seconds leading to the incident, Kirk was being asked questions about mass shootings in America. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America in the last 10 years? A person asks. Counting or not counting gang violence, Kirk responds right before he is shot. That right there is America perfectly described. Okay? Because the irony, the dark irony of this sequence of events is that it is that mentality that stops people from even seeking the truth about how, or seeking solutions on how we could stop gun violence in this goddamn country. And in the process of actively continuing to debate the importance of having every American be armed to the goddamn teeth, Charlie Kirk got shot by another American that was armed to the teeth. And now he's dead. And now Republicans turn around and talk about the violence of the violence of people are talking about the toning down the rhetoric. The very same people who never toned down the rhetoric. Crazy. Political reports a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk on the House floor just now quickly devolved into chaos and yelling. With every lawmaker standing up in quiet observance, Representative Lauren Boebert demanded a spoken prayer. Silent prayers get silent results, she said. Everything is a performance for these people. Okay? Everything. Look at this. That's a performance. She is trying to get her 15 minutes in the spotlight. Silent prayers get silent results, she said, leading to jeers from Democrats with some shouting about a school shooting that also happened Wednesday, which is also true. There's a school shooting that took place while this is happening. You understand? Representative Anna Paulina stood up and started shouting expletives at the Democrats before Speaker Mike Johnson gavelled lawmakers down. This is disgusting, said House Republican granted anonymity to react candidly to the clash. Stephen Miller's already on it. Our hearts are shattered. America has lost one of its greatest champions. A loving family has lost the most extraordinary husband and father. All of us must now dedicate ourselves to defeating the evil that stole Charlie Kirk from this world. I agree, except I think our understanding is very different about what the evil is that took out Charlie Kirk. Because I don't think he means gun control. I think he is just looking to see which marginalized population he could blame this on? Maybe the entire left. It is pretty crazy, however, that yes, the person, and you can't, wait, where is it? Charlie Kirk had on numerous occasions, not just in 2023, numerous occasions had said gun deaths are unfortunately worth it to keep the Second Amendment. The person who inevitably advocated for his own demise. I don't know if we'll ever actually get Republicans to understand this. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll understand it. They didn't understand it when Steve Scalise was shot at the congressional baseball game. They didn't care about it. Steve Scalise himself personally continued to be a strong advocate for freedom to purchase weapons. In honor of Charlie Kirk, a truly great American patriot, I'm ordering all American flags throughout the United States lowered to half-mast until Sunday evening at 6 p.m. That's okay. They didn't understand the dangers of COVID when Herman Cain died. They just don't care. They don't care. Brandon woke up. Even Brandon had a statement about this. There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. I don't know. Part of me thinks that the Republicans will try to use this as an opportunity to do insane shit. Part of me worries about the vengeance quest that I suspect some people will go on in the aftermath of this. And I, of course, recognize that, this puts, a lot of people that I know and even myself in the crosshairs. But beyond that, beyond the adventurists and people on a vengeance quest that might choose to take matters in their own hands, there's also obviously the administration and what they will use, what they will do in the aftermath of this incident. It's also worrisome. But yeah, I will say, from my perspective, as someone who does like live streams and events such as that one, the only times when there's like weird shit that happens in those live streams is always in a red state. Now, of course, I'm not a conservative commentator. I'm a leftist, and maybe that's the reason. But the only time I've ever had like weird experiences when doing IRLs is if I'm in the state of Texas, even in a blue area, still a red state, or in Nevada. So, I don't know. Ben Shapiro's statement, like all of you, I'm utterly stunned and heartbroken and sick to my soul today. It is unimaginable to write these words. I met Charlie Kirk when he was 18 years old, a young man so eager and determined that I immediately turned to a friend and said, that kid's going to be the head of the RNC one day. Charlie became even bigger and more important than that. It was a privilege to watch this principled man stand up for beliefs to create the single most important conservative political organization in America. But more importantly, Charlie was a good man. Oh my God. A man who believed in right and wrong, who stood by his biblical values. All of us will miss him. And I can't imagine the pain of his beautiful young family. We all must pray for them. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it. I think when these guys say like, we must pray, like thoughts and prayers, it almost feels like they're just, it always feels so hollow. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't think it comes from a sincere place. They might genuinely think it's coming from a sincere place, but it feels so empty. It feels like we just don't want any solutions to this. That's what it translates to me as. And it's not because like, oh, I'm not a very spiritual person. That's not the reason. It almost feels like you kind of recognize that this is impossible to contend with. So you're just basically saying like, oh, we should pray. We should pray for this person. We should pray for this. We should pray for that. It just, I don't know. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it, fighting for the things he believes in so passionately. We must fight for a better America. Like it almost feels like you're saying that because you kind of recognize that there's no solution that you would want to advocate for. And therefore you're just kind of looking for, like the correct thing to say in this moment, That's what it feels like. This shit hit the coworker sphere. Oh yeah. In America, where good people can speak the truth and debate passionately without fear of a bullet. I weep for Charlie's family and I weep for my country today. Most of all, I weep for Charlie. Yeah, well, now we know where they're going to go with this. Laura Loomer says, it's time for the Trump administration to shut down, defund, and prosecute every single leftist organization. If Charlie Kirk dies from his injuries, his life cannot be in vain. We must shut these lunatic leftists down once and for all. The left is a national security threat. You guys, under different circumstances, I would say this is an insane person. But unfortunately, we live in insane times, and Laura Loomer has been able to actually get a lot of initiatives passed in this administration. She does have, I'm afraid, a lot more motion than you would expect. Not only does she have the ear of the president, she's been able to bully Marco Rubio, for example, into taking actions. And while we have no idea what this person's background is, what the person's, like, the shooter's ideological motivations were, even if they were leftist, this would be a ridiculous response, especially considering we've never been able to shut down neo-Nazi organizations in this country when they are responsible for the overwhelming majority of mass shooting incidents that take place. Far-right anti-government extremism is and has been the largest ideological background of all of the domestic terror incidents on U.S. soil since 9/11. Okay, it's not even close. Nothing comes close to it. And yet, no initiatives are ever taken in terms of, like, tackling this problem ideologically. No initiatives are ever taken in terms of tackling the problem materially, like gun control, something that Charlie Kirk himself was, of course, very much against. But instead, I suspect that the administration will use this as an opportunity to basically go after as many people as possible that they have declared enemies, ideological enemies. Yeah, not great. A local mayor urges people to report anything as suspicious as shooting suspect remains at large, by the way. Mayor David Young of the north central Utah city of Orem says several local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies are working the investigation, but the suspect in Kirk's fatal shooting remains at large. He says police in Orem and at Utah Valley University are among many agencies involved in the investigation. Meanwhile, authorities have told anyone at Utah Valley University to secure in place after Wednesday's shooting. What is this? What the hell is this? Yeah. What Laura Loomer is doing in this, what Laura Loomer is doing there, for the record, as far as, like, making this an opportunity, is identical to what took place with Horst Ludwig George Erich Wessel. He became a symbol of propaganda in Nazi Germany after two members of the Communist Party of Germany, KPD, killed him. Now, there is no evidence as to who the shooter was. There is no evidence as to their background, but it doesn't even matter, because it's clear to me that at least people with tremendous influence over this administration will try and use this as an opportunity to stamp out any kind of progressive movement in this country.
Like someone else said before, you didn't have to pay for them. And honestly, you didn't have to show them at all. People could just walk in, set up where they wanted to sit, and watch everything. So yeah, no security. I will say there were some police on campus, but not checking people walking in, not, scanning for metal, none of that.
Did that surprise you in the moment, or are you kind of thinking about it now?
Honestly, no. I mean, I think there definitely should have been security. But no, it seemed like, just a great hangout for everybody to hang out with Charlie and, ask him questions, because he's so laid back and he'll talk to you about anything. So I don't know. I guess now, now we know you definitely need to be having a little bit more security.
Well, and I think that was part of Charlie Kirk's appeal, right? That he did want to engage with people. And it was not like he just wanted to engage with fans. He wanted to engage with people that had differing views of his. We've watched these campus events for a while now, and he's traveled the country. This was his first stop. What kind of mark does that leave?
I mean, it's intense. I think, honestly, even though he's gone, he is making such a massive impact on the community, not only in Utah, but across the world, because he was doing God's work. And
Okay. I don't.
Really pioneered a new model for merging political activism and point of view media. He was envied by many of his rivals on the left for what he was able to build with Turning Points. You know, he was like a pastor and a political organizer and a radio host and a YouTuber and a TikTok influencer and a nonprofit leader, all in one.
Yeah, I mean, it's expected. They're gonna, the media is going to, from the left and the right, the media is going to present Charlie Kirk as a martyr. They're going to talk about it in like completely non-ideological ways. They are going to talk about him as an incredibly skillful communicator, an organizer, and I do think that this will. I mean, yeah, he is. Like, my expectation is not that they just like shit on him. Obviously, that would be crazy. But I think Hasan Piker, progressive influencer, says only gun control could have saved Charlie Kirk. Among those coming to terms with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk on Wednesday is a progressive streamer, Hasan Piker, who was scheduled to debate Kirk at Dartmouth College in 2 weeks. On his Twitch live stream, Piker expressed horror at the shooting and urged followers not to celebrate it, but told viewers to stop writing in to tell him to wear a bulletproof vest or hire security for his public appearances. I don't have any security, Piker told his viewers. It shouldn't be like this. He went on to argue that only gun control could prevent mass shootings. In a moment like this, a reasonable government would say, all right, enough is enough, Piker said. If we had a responsible government and not a bunch of psychopaths running the show, he added, the U.S. would already have had serious gun control following the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut in 2012. I need to really reconsider the way I do everything outside for the foreseeable future, Piker said. Before people say, wear a bulletproof vest again, he got shot in the neck. A bulletproof vest would not have saved Charlie Kirk. The only thing that could have potentially saved Charlie Kirk, he added, was if our administrations prior to this one and this one as well actually had reasonable gun control as a policy position in the aftermath of, I don't know, 100 other school shootings.
Think about the time around Barack Obama's re-election. Kirk was a grassroots activist, barely 18 years old, launching his organization, gaining connections within the Republican movement before it became the Trump movement. And he was an early ally of now Vice President J.D. Vance. The two men had a very close relationship, and Vance was one of the very first Trump officials that we heard from when word of this shooting broke. It does speak to this generational moment in politics where Kirk was helping to get hundreds of people out to college campuses, sometimes very blue, very lefty college campuses. There would be controversies, there would be protests and counter-protests, and that's partly what Kirk wanted. You know, one of the names for his tour was the Prove Me Wrong Tour. He didn't shy away from talking to folks from the other proverbial side. He wanted to engage in that debate.
No, I mean, come on. He was cutting propaganda and you know, only talking to people that he could bully viciously and cut propaganda and state their like ideological opponents as like hysterical people that don't know anything. It's not like this was an honest attempt to like truly understand the other side's perspective. This kind of framing is also indecent in my opinion. Like, there's no reason. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my brain is broken. But I don't think that there is any reason to just, you know, launder the reputation of someone in the aftermath of their untimely demise in an effort like it with completely fabricated positions.
Kirk as a Trump whisperer and someone who worked as much behind the scenes as in front of the camera. You know, I said earlier that Kirk is a little bit like a new age Rush Limbaugh in terms of his power in the media marketplace, dominating online and on the airwaves. And Kirk was able to do that in a way where he was talking behind the scenes, talking directly with President Trump and his allies, and then going on the radio or his podcast for hours at a time. And in the way that it works now, you know, he was able to connect on YouTube and TikTok, on Instagram and on old-fashioned radio all simultaneously. It really magnified his power as a movement leader, and that's what stood out to me a few minutes ago. Max Rose saying this is an assassination.
Yeah, my expectation is not that they be disrespectful, but you don't have to lie. You know what I mean? Like,
leader being gunned down in the middle of a university courtyard.
No, horrific. Brian, stand by for us. New video shows conservative activist Charlie Kirk today, just moments before he was shot and killed. Again, he was at Utah Valley University in the state of Utah attending a campus tour stop with Turning Points USA. It's the conservative youth organization he founded about 13 or so years ago. I want to bring in CNN's Kristen Holmes, who's at the White House. And Kristen, we heard the news from President Trump not long ago. He was the one that broke the news to the world that Charlie Kirk had been killed, was dead.
You said earlier people feel so safe in Japan because of gun control. Why don't people say that about other countries that have gun control? Is there a chance that it's both a culture issue and a gun control issue? No, it's definitely still a gun control issue, because even people that go to like London or Paris, places where they say there's a lot of crime happening, there's a lot of violence happening, when Americans go to those places, they talk about how they feel still much safer than they do in other American neighborhoods. I mean, think about all the TikTok memes that have come out of like, when you get stood up by a British gangster, you know what I mean? Versus what it looks like in the United States of America. Obviously, there are other factors at play here as well, but one of the most significant components here that makes everything less safe is, of course, easy access to guns.
They spent an enormous amount of time with. Brian alluded to this during the transition. Charlie Kirk spent most of his time in West Palm Beach, Florida, in Palm Beach, meeting with the different teams, meeting with the candidates, talking through the nominations. He was an integral part of the campaign, of getting Trump elected, and of the people who are currently in positions of power. And that's why you're seeing such a sadness and a disbelief from so many people close to the president. And when it comes to talking strictly about his influence and his power within Washington, I mean, one of the things to keep in mind here is that this is somebody who had a direct line to President Trump, who could voice his objections to President Trump at times. He could voice what he thought was important and not being covered enough by the administration. He spoke to many, if not all, of the cabinet secretaries directly. He had a finger on the pulse of the MAGA movement, even more so than some people who are here in Washington who got government positions. If you look at the crowd that had gathered around Kirk, that was just one example of the kind of crowds that Kirk would draw. He was truly a movement leader, as we've heard. He would bring thousands and thousands of people together, and that was why he was so critical, beyond just the personal, to the campaign, to President Trump. He was the one who really crossed him over the finish line.
You can't hate the media enough. Good afternoon. I was wondering if Charlie Kirk getting shot affects your position on campus scary. If gun control had been in play, could the tragedy have been avoided? It was a huge part of President Trump's strategy. So there are a lot of different levels of all of this. The his position at
the power, the connection
Florida
to the base, but also the family and the relationships that Charlie Kirk had built with all of the Trumps. We have seen the children responding each individually about their relationships with Charlie Kirk, saying to pray for him and his family. Again, he was a fixture here in Washington, even though he doesn't live here, because he was constantly coming in to sit for the swearing-ins of various officials, because those officials were the people he was close to. So this is a great loss for this White House, not just for the MAGA movement, but even personally for the people who are inside the building there.
Yeah. It's tough.
Kirk's killing follows political violence elsewhere around the country this year.
There are people watching right now who are only kind of peripherally, or maybe even not even aware of who Charlie Kirk was. Ask your kids, ask your grandkids, even if they're not MAGA, if they're on phones, they know who Charlie Kirk is. Teenagers, people in their 20s, they know who Charlie Kirk is. Even if they disagree with him, they know who he is. He really was a voice for this young generation. Again, even if they didn't agree with him. Kristen Holmes, stick around. I want to bring in David Urban now, former Trump campaign advisor. David, I'm sorry to be talking to you under these conditions. What are you hearing from your friends and your colleagues, people who know and follow Charlie Kirk right now? Tell us what people are going through.
Yeah, you know, Jake, it's a tragedy for America, not just for the Republican Party or for MAGA, Jake, as you know. I met Charlie back in the 2016 during the 2016 race, and used to joke with him. You know, he was an Eagle Scout. He's an all-American kind of boy. Wanted to go to West Point. I went to West Point, so he and I joke about that. But he was doing it the right way, Jake. You heard Brian Seltzer.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, the West Point is actually an incredibly important aspect of Charlie Kirk's media career, because when he was in high school, he wanted to go to West Point and he couldn't get into West Point, so he wrote in the high school newspaper, I believe, an article about how a black girl had actually taken his spot. He had no evidence for this, of course, but he wrote that article and then it was published on Breitbart. Once this article was published on Breitbart at the age of 18, immediately he became a conservative a conservative spokesperson. Okay, I use Charlie Kirk's career as an example of how the right-wing media machine plucks people randomly from all around the country, no matter how old they are, and immediately turns them into like spokespersons for the cause. Charlie Kirk then took on this newfound fame from Breitbart all the way to Fox News because there is a tremendous amount of vertical integration here. And he went back to Foster Friess. He went back to Foster Friess, who was someone that his father knew, okay? And he begged him for money to start Turning Point USA with the express purpose of turning basically like a super PAC for college and high school student government bodies. That was the initial purpose of Turning Point USA. He went to a bunch of conservative mega donors and said, give me money and I will go and change the outcome of student government bodies. That was how Turning Point USA was created. Okay? The reason why I'm very familiar with Charlie Kirk, of course, is because both Charlie Kirk and I became relatively famous, known figures in the exact opposite side of the political spectrum around the same time. He was presented as like the alternative universe, like the bizarro version of myself, and I was presented as the opposite to him. That's why we debated a bunch of times. But of course, his career took on an entirely different. It went to a totally different place as opposed to mine. And this is actually an example that I use regularly to tell you, like, there is a difference in the way that right-wing political operations work versus liberal and Democratic parties' political operations work. His trajectory was vast. It was super fast. And he just kept building on it and became an institutional power. Okay? As opposed to the Democrats on the other side would never, ever in a million years offer similar opportunities to those on the left, those on the liberal side even. No, we didn't have the same demos of audiences, for the record. We didn't. I had a younger audience. Charlie Kirk never had a young audience until recently. Until this last election cycle with a TikTok initiative, Charlie Kirk was not a known entity amongst young people. That's not true. Charlie Kirk, for the longest part of his career, as a matter of fact, did not have any young people in his audience whatsoever. He just simply presented, he was basically the Olivia Giuliana of the Republicans, getting a bunch of money from mega donors, but much more successful than Olivia Giuliana, given the way that the Republican media ecosystem operates, as opposed to the Democrat one. But until recently, he was just like he just kept farming donations from old people who didn't know any better and thought that he was actually able to reach a much younger crowd and change their minds. Of course, this is not factoring the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years of his career, because once they started doing these TikTok initiatives, he did certainly draw much younger crowds. Okay. TikTok was what gave Turning Point USA actually a young audience, and it perfectly corresponded to Gen Z attitudes about Trump as well. They had a much different perspective about Trump. They had not experienced, I guess, like COVID, or at least during the COVID lockdowns, they developed negative attitudes towards the Democrats because they saw Democrats, I guess, as the responsible party for these lockdowns and whatnot. And eventually you saw this right-wing swing, and Charlie Kirk was right there and was the guy that took advantage of this right-wing swing, and also the advantage of the medium, the new medium for political propaganda, TikTok. Okay? But before then, since 2012 onward, and especially past especially past 2016 all the way into I would say 2023. Charlie Kirk had no prominence amongst the youth. It was only after 2023, 2024 and the election cycle did he actually reach a much broader, younger audience. Turning Point USA was entirely comprised of the only young people that you saw at Turning Point USA events were just young people that wanted to be a part of the Republican machine. Those were the attendees. It wasn't just average normies and whatnot that were, it wasn't anything beyond it wasn't anything beyond the young American, the YAF, young conservatives on campus type people that were aware of Charlie Kirk and actively invested in Turning Point USA. I'm worried. I'm worried. That's all I can say in this moment. There's a video of the new unidentified person spotted on a nearby rooftop before Charlie Kirk was shot. Suspect still at large. I don't know if this is a confirmed. This seems, unconfirmed, so I don't know. I'll wait for additional confirmation instead of just are you more worried about Trump or random vigilantes? I'm worried about both. There's good reason to worry about both. Sky's the limit here in terms of the unlimited cruelty that we can experience. Utah has no gun control on campus. Yeah, there's a White House proclamation ordering flags flown at half-staff until sunset on September 14th in honor of the memory of Charlie Kirk. As a mark of respect for the memory of Charlie Kirk by the authority vested in me as the President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby order the flags of the United States shall be flown at half-mast at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds at all military posts and naval stations. It's kind of wild that Trump didn't do that for the Minnesota shooting. Yeah, of course he didn't do that for the Minnesota shooting because the Minnesota shooter was a far-right figure and a mercenary who assassinated Democrats. That's it. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand on this 10th day in September in the year of our Lord 2025 and of the independence of the United States of America, the 250th, Donald J. Trump. How do I think them should respond? I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to respond, but I suspect it's not going to be a positive one. And I do worry that they're not going to take a defensive posture against the unlimited political repercussions that the left will experience as a consequence of this, even though there is no evidence to suggest that this was even done by the left. And even if it was, it still doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Political violence, unfortunately, has ramped up in this country. I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country, and I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. It's true. What is this audio? What is happening with this audio? Can you guys hear it? Is the tab muted? No. Is my shit busted? Let me see.
Utah, and this is, as he
no,
told me,
my shit's not busted. It's just that video. It's fine.
He said is a very painful moment for not just him, but for his community as well.
This is my backyard. This is very, very personal because of that. Yeah, it really is escalating. We know that. I think it's time for all of us to reevaluate how we're talking about issues. I think that if we're honest, we're having conversations within families that are too heated. We're having conversations among friends that are too heated, and then that obviously escalates as it gets to a broader conversation. It's not healthy. It's not who we are.
When I was in college, you used to be able to walk in those doors and just walk right into the Capitol. And it didn't have any of the security. Obviously, airports were the same. And the more we just have this sickness in society, the more we have to clamp down, and the more you have to have, security barriers and lock down our society because people are just sick.
And also, just after that moment, the Speaker of the House tried to ask for a moment of silence, ultimately did get a moment of silence. But before that, there was a back and forth that occurred between Democrats and Republicans as one congresswoman tried to ask for a prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. That led to some back and forth about some of the political violence that we are seeing in this country, just showing just the raw emotion and the tension that is happening right now, particularly in the aftermath of all of this, as members grapple with this, particularly ones who are very close to Charlie Kirk. He had a lot of allies in the GOP side, particularly in the House over the years, and they're feeling this very personally, Jake.
He and Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, very close friends. Manu Raju, thanks so much. Just in, a law enforcement official confirmed to CNN that there remains an active manhunt for the person responsible for this apparent assassination. And the initial search, they say, did not recover any sort of firearm. Much more as we cover this story. Stay with us.
Tonight on 360. The stories that matter. Anderson Cooper 360.
I can't believe there's still a active manhunt. That's crazy. It's wild.
Moment of silence.
This is a moment, in fact, when you see leaders across the political spectrum coming together. While they may not agree with all of the political positions, the social issues, and stances that Charlie took, they all agree that this is not what our country is about. They are condemning this act of violence, saying this is something that should never happen in our country. As you mentioned, there is that somber moment on the House floor as we continue to see this outpouring of just outrage and grief and condemnation from leaders all across the political spectrum, Kana. This is just really an unbelievable moment.
And, you know, Selena, I've spoken with several witnesses who were there, and many of them were there just because they wanted to be there. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to see him speak. But others who say, I had a question for him. I was lined up. I was lined up with people to ask questions. And what they pointed out, Selena, that was even in the line, because of the area that Charlie Kirk had created, they were having lively debate, back and forth debate, Republicans and conservatives in this line together.
And Charlie Kirk was known for sparking that kind of conversation. He has so many viral moments online with his millions and millions of followers for all of them to view, where he has these sparring debates with students who are very progressive, who clash with his views, and he'd like to have these kind of rapid fire conversations. I mean, Turning Point USA, they are across the country. They go to these high school campuses, college campuses. He is an advocate for this conservative movement, for reaching this young base and mobilizing them to become part of this MAGA movement. But it wasn't just about spreading those ideals, but also debating with people who have wildly different views than he has. And he was very effective at using that and turning it into this media empire online through his social media videos, through his podcasts. He's really was seen as one of the most influential MAGA podcasters and right-wing influencers in general.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about his appearance on Governor Newsom's podcast. I mean, Governor Newsom chose him to launch his podcast. He was his very first guest. That was the level of importance that even, Democrats really viewed him as. Selena, I want to play for everyone a soundbite here. It's actually from our own John Carl, who was able to get President Trump on the phone. And John Carl's reflecting on the conversation they had, but this was just really moments before the announcement was made that this young 31-year-old father had been murdered.
I had a brief conversation with the president over the phone. He sounded quite upset, quite down about this. He told me it's horrific. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. He was a great guy. He was a good man. He was an incredible guy. There's nobody like him.
You can even tell there, Selena, when John Carl is talking.
Why aren't they playing some of his inspiring and wholesome speeches? Because if they did, then I think the ABC News audience would not reflect positively on it, I don't think.
Throughout this country, as people are certainly thinking about Charlie Kirk's wife and young children, two of them under the age of 5.
31 years old. He is a father, he is a husband, and a leader of this movement as well. And just reflecting on what John Carl was saying about his conversation with the president, I mean, this is someone who President Trump has frequently called out, expressing.
Bro, I don't get how these guys get away with this shit, dude. Like, it's so insane. Fox host Jesse Waters, they are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they're at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? Like he just sees this opportunity to do. Like he's just mad that it was Charlie Kirk that was shot. He's like, why isn't it that the leftists are getting shot? Why isn't it that like liberals are getting shot? Like that's it. This is a call for violence. Like what the are you talking about? It's so crazy, man. It is so wild that these guys will then also simultaneously turn around and be like, well, you know, it's really up. It's really we gotta tone down the violent rhetoric. Okay. Tell your guys to tone it down. What do you mean tone down the violent rhetoric? Where is the violent rhetoric coming from?
This hits different.
Yes, I don't think someone on the left would get such praise or same positive coverage. They would victim blame 100%. Yes, of course. Yes, 100%. That is the reality, okay?
Differently. Because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They went after Musk's cars. Brother, once again, I can't believe, dude, what the these are not comparable things, okay? Also, 2 months ago, there was a dude that assassinated Democrat politicians and had a hit list of every single Democrat in the state of Minnesota. And these assholes immediately went, oh, he's a leftist. He must be a leftist. They have concocted a completely alternative universe where they just go off of their own hysteria, their own made-up norms, their own made-up reality. 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in L.A.
Trans shooters.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate?
Like the numbers on the board, it is not even a comparison. There is no comparison to be made here between violence coming from the political right versus violence coming from the political left. It is so crazy.
And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible.
Holy bro, these guys are so insane. He's like, all right, one of my friends died. It's time. It's time to use his death to angle for more political repression, political persecution to a made up enemy that I made up in my mind. Charlie would want that. Okay. Did you see this Jay Schlatt tweet?
Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what. The politicians, the media, and all of these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
How do I be normal about this, though? Just don't ask me that question right now, okay? Please. Look. This feels like a nightmare. One of the most horrific things I've ever seen. I feel absolutely gutted and devastated. Pray for Charlie Kirk's soul, his young family, and for our country. The violence and hatred has to stop. Our country needs Christ more than ever. That's crazy. That's crazy because the person saying that is Nick Fuentes. Charlie Kirk says a patriot should bail out alleged Paul Pelosi attacker. Dude, he has said everything under the sun. Okay? You could write the most scathing obituary of Charlie Kirk by simply posting everything Charlie Kirk has said in the aftermath of high-profile assassinations, in the aftermath of political violence, in the aftermath of a million different school shootings. Okay? This is part of the reason why. This is part of the reason why I say, like, the ways in which, like, liberal media is going to cover the story is going to launder his reputation and whitewash what he has done, whitewash what he has said, because this is a horrifying incident. Okay? He has talked about how there shouldn't be any empathy in the aftermath of school shootings. He said it all. He has said over and over again that it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment.
Having an armed citizenry comes with a price.
The reason why I'm showing this is not to say, well, you know, tough titties or whatever. The reason why I'm showing this is because Charlie Kirk is a part of a machine, a right-wing media machine that has actively worked every single day to make your coworkers also feel comfortable with this violence. Okay? And if you're a right-winger that's tuning in right now to watch me to see if I'll celebrate this or something, even though you fundamentally misunderstand my commentary if you think that I would do so, but regardless, understand that the reason why I'm showing this is because these people have played a formative role in Charlie Kirk's situation. He has played a formative role in his own demise by playing a part in a media landscape, in a media environment that normalizes this death and destruction. Video of the shooter. Wait, what? Captured? We don't know if that's real. Okay?
And that is part of liberty. Wow. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. Wow. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence.
Yeah, in his moment of his passing, when he got shot in the neck, he was still advocating for not only less gun control, but he was literally talking about how the only solution to gun violence is by stopping trans people. Because when he goes to these events, there are a lot of people who don't agree with him who attend to debate him. And one of these people was actually asking him a question. He said, Charlie, do you know how many trans people are mass shooters? He said, I don't know. Far too many. And he responded with, do you know how many mass shootings? He said, there's only been 5. Do you know how many mass shootings have taken place in the last 10 years? As opposed to the last 10 years of 5 trans shooters. And while he was in the process of responding to that by saying, well, do you mean gang violence or without gang violence? He got shot in the neck. Down to the last moment. Now, if people don't understand that in and of itself, the way that people feel about this issue when they reiterate these talking points, when they don't fully comprehend the severity of the problem of gun violence in this country, even in this moment, if they don't understand, like, what is the reason why it happens in the United States of America and it doesn't happen anywhere else to the same frequency, to the same magnitude, I don't know what will cause them to recognize it. And my fear is that in the absence of that recognition, in the absence of critical examination, I fear that people are just going to become increasingly more mad. And that's why there's a lot of talk, as this chatter says, about getting revenge on leftist commentators. What's the proper response to this? There is no proper response to this. There's nothing. There's nothing you can say or do. What are you going to do? Tell people don't do that? That's not the answer? That's not going to stop people. It is what it is. What is this? Literally all of Twitter? I've noticed that the leftist center response has been condemnation of the violence, while the right-wing response has largely been some variation of, we need to physically destroy liberals. Yeah. No, that's it. Liberals, for the most part, are saying, like, this is really f***ed up. We can't have any sort of political violence whatsoever. And a lot of Republicans are basically saying, nah, we should just kill every leftist now, actually. We should kill them. We should kill them dead. Once again, people who fail to comprehend that, like, I myself clearly am an ideological opponent to Charlie Kirk. I despise his worldview. I have debated him on numerous occasions, and I was slated to debate him again. So clearly, my method, or what I think is the appropriate thing to do in this circumstance, was not political violence. Especially considering that I too am in the crosshairs as a left-wing political content creator, but also would have been directly in the crosshairs alongside Charlie Kirk in a public event anyway. Don't go. Well, I don't think that debate is happening any longer, chatter. Obviously. I don't think that there will be any public events for people like myself in the future. This old take of his, yeah. Yo, is Charlie Kirk dead? Yes. He's dead. Gutfeld actually making sense?
It's interesting. We don't know who did this, but I do know it doesn't help the left, which makes me think, is it the left? I don't know. We don't know, but it feels professional. That's all.
That's crazy. That's crazy that Greg Gutfeld has found a moment of honesty. What a unique situation. He must be shook.
Well, it feels to me,
Greg, you asked me a question.
Jesse Waters took no moment to immediately go on with, well, political violence, it's time to dish it back to the left, as though the left is responsible for this. We need more violence. The solution to what we just experienced is more violence. Judging by the shameful, opportunistic, and politicizing rhetoric of some right-wingers on this hell site and their cynical use of Charlie Kirk's horrific murder for political point scoring, it's almost as if Representative Melissa Hortman wasn't murdered by a MAGA maniac just 12 weeks ago. Yep.
But we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How did we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns because everyone's armed.
This thread identifies to have appeared. This thread appears to have identified where the shooting took place rooftop directly across from the stage. New posted footage. I know people are. This is the same exact rooftop. I think on the roof of the Lucy Center at UVU. So this is the video that's been circulating. Additional footage shows an individual running across the roof of the Lucy Center in the moments after the shooting. Where is it? Where's the dude? Oh, right here? No. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. Oh my God. Is that the one? Is that? Yeah, look right here. Do you see that? Or is that a window speck of dirt? It might be, it could be a speck of dirt. I don't know, but it feels like it, I mean, it's moving. I don't think is it moving? Is it not moving? I can't tell. It looks like it's moving. It moves with the camera? Yeah, because it's running in the opposite direction. That's the reason why it's like almost like a visual trick. But it also could be artifacting taking place because it's like, no, it's definitely moving. Look at the trail that it takes. It's because at the end there, it moves a little bit faster. No, see, yeah, it's moving. It's definitely not. It's not a speck of dirt, dude. Look, it's gone. Yeah, I saw that the account Doug Zimmer was created just to post another angle of the roof. There's something very suspicious. I mean, there's always like insanely weird, insanely suspicious shit that happens in the aftermath of incidents like this. This is the original video that I didn't want to show you because I didn't see I didn't see enough but yeah, here. Someone literally Someone filmed this guy? I mean, I don't understand. Like, that's awfully weird. That's awfully strange.
Ran in.
What, there's audio?
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over. Where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
Like, why would they even think to film that? I mean, I guess that's not that crazy. And also, they probably thought that it was security because there are sniper rifles at. It's a speck of dirt. It doesn't look like a speck of dirt from that video that you're posting. I don't understand. Also, there are different angles. There are literally different angles where they show that. I mean, I think this is the same roof. Yeah. That's the same roof in a different video. CNN reports Vance is going to Utah next Thursday. Look. Where is it? What is this? Grifter's gonna grift? I don't want to ever hear Charlie Kirk claim he's pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as a political opportunist, and I've had front row seats to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next day. TPUSA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. He got killed because he was anti-Israel, and you can't have someone who's that powerful over the right be anti-Israel. What the Charlie Kirk is one of the biggest deep throaters of Israel out there. What the are you talking about? You think Charlie Kirk is anti-Israel? Oh my God. It's official. We now officially have the Arab version of like he was just about to buy an NFL team. That's got to be, this is the Arab version of that. Oh, that prominent figure was just about to buy an NFL team until they took him out. Benjamin Netanyahu, literally the entire right hates Israel and he had to fall in line. What are you talking about? Benjamin Netanyahu is like talking about how he got murdered for speaking the truth and defending freedom, a lion-hearted friend to Israel. Where is this coming from? I'm not going to name names. What? This is a InfoWars guy, Harrison A. Smith. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. Are you guys crazy? What do words mean? Charlie Kirk was anti-Israel is a absolutely psychotic assessment to make. You are just not living on the same planet that we're all living on if you think that he was anti-Israel in any capacity, man. Hassan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.